So Vadim, so you were telling me about how like so it sounded like you started your second company while you were still running the first one. Why did you do that? It sounds like a bad way to do things if you want your first company to be successful.
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, that's a good point because in my life I did like many times I did things in an unconventional way, running two companies at the same time, or running a company and then trying to launch a startup accelerator, studying in the university, running a company and working on a full-time role in a software outsourcing company, right? Why I started second company? Because at the time the same team was kind of building the product for my next company, right? This is important, right? So basically, yeah, it was like the same team, two products. So, and the newer one, I carved it out later into the second company. So technically, it was the first company at Center. It had some traction in Ukraine and Russia, in Eastern Europe, but it didn't fly outside of that market. And I didn't even at that time I was trying to do everything right from Ukraine, from Europe. We started to experiment with mobile advertising, mobile ads, etc. And it started to go really well, but it was totally. And then I realized, well, it's a different company because it's totally different target audience. Instead of SMBs, it's going to be game developers, etc. And I basically carved it out into a new company. I didn't plan this. And then at that point, I already realized that, well, at Center probably not going to, because it's just going to be just a small exit, which eventually it was okay. But I said, no, I'm going to focus on the next one. So I already realized that the first one, and I recommend that founders treat their companies as if they are investors, as if it's their portfolio. Like, look at your bet, look at the odds of success, look at your ultimate value you're going to extract. And you can see that, well, actually, market has changed, or valuations has changed on the market, or their market is going to last for a few more years. Okay, maybe you don't keep all your eggs in one basket. Do something else in parallel. Conventional thinking says, no, it's wrong because you have investors, you have everything, and you just have to stick to one. I think it's wrong. I think because investors have the portfolio, why founders shouldn't have to?
In that sense, I totally agree. It's sort of an unfair way of doing it. But I would also push back, right? You sort of said, look, the real success metrics for people are, and what entrepreneurial excellence is consistency and sticking with it, right? And so you're sort of saying the opposite here. You're like, well, if a company's not quite going as well as it should, jump to the next thing, because you shouldn't waste your life on something that's unsuccessful.
Well, that's a very good point. The question is when to jump. This is the more art than science. Do you stick to it forever? Very, very good point. And I think you have to stick to it for a very long time if you believe that you can succeed here. Then you don't quit. You don't quit regardless. Until you starve, right? You just don't quit. I had this experience, right? But if you already understand, because sometimes people often do mistakes when they love their company too much. They don't don't listen to anyone. They just don't read reports. Don't speak to other people, other founders. They become very narrow-minded, and they lose it eventually because they just it's not going to go anywhere regardless of what they do. It's basically they pick a wrong mountain. I think in the first example, I'm going to pick not the wrong mountain, but not the very best one. And I just realized, well, regardless of what I do, regardless of what level of effort I invest, I will basically only improve it by some marginal figure. And I'm like, okay, but I discovered some high growth element in my company. I'm like, wow, this thing I want to stick to. So probably this is the difference. I hope I answered your question.